Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with something that is insanely cool. We've got ourselves a brand new Lulu's Customs and Classics figure. This is the Telltale Jurassic Park Troodon, and this one looks awesome. I remember him actually sculpting a Troodon out like this a long time ago. I think he actually had sculpted it by hand, and I thought it was really cool to see somebody actually making a model of that. And now he's gone ahead and sculpted one out, obviously with 3D sculpting technology. And it looks super, super cool. Honestly, it looks pretty much perfect as far as the way I remember this looking. And you can see he's also painted this up and everything. This is obviously an early prototype for this release, as this is not officially available quite yet, but will be at some point in the very near future. And again, it's probably one of the coolest models to come from Lulu's Customs and Classics so far, in my opinion, just because it is so iconic, but also one of the creepiest looking dinosaurs I think that has ever appeared in any form of Jurassic media. So let's go ahead, jump to a closer look, and we'll check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Troodon, you can see it's got its mouth in a closed position and looks absolutely horrifying. Could you imagine running into this dinosaur in like the dark of the night? That would be probably one of the most traumatizing and overall terrifying situations I could ever imagine being in, because this thing is just so creepy looking. But he's done an excellent job, in my opinion, of replicating the overall look of the head, as well as, of course, one of the most iconic areas of this dinosaur, and that would be the eyes. The eyes have that very much so almost like dead-eyed kind of a look, which is so eerie to me, and he's replicated that so nicely. If my camera would focus on it, so nicely with this version. You can see again, it just looks super, super cool, and again, also super, super creepy. You can see even with the mouth closed, the teeth are kind of extending out there. He has painted those all out there with kind of like a light yellowish tone. We can obviously see the eyes have that color that replicates the way they look in the game very nicely. We also have a grayish tone with some black here in the face that kind of stripes through. If you look up here in the top of the head, you've got a few small quills sticking out of the back of the head, it looks like. And you'll see that as you move through the course of the figure. You can see it already in the back there as well. As you move down to the underside, you've got the reddish tones here, a few kind of almost like quill-like ridges there sticking off of the bottom of the lower jaw as well. And then as you continue to move down, you have some yellow picking up as well, and we continue to have more black just patterning through the course of the figure. As you move along, you can see like some small stripes as well as spots, and then the black overtaking the top of the dinosaur and striping down along the course of the dinosaur, especially right here in the neck where we are currently. You can see a very cool striping effect moving down, and you can also see the scale detail looks really nice. Definitely has a very reptilian look as far as the way that the skin texture and scale detail is sculpted out. If you look at it from up above, you can see the dinosaur has a turn in its neck toward its right. Not a massive turn, but a little bit of a turn. And then as we continue to move down, you can see again the black tones continue down here into the arm, and spotting a few more areas right here in basically the shoulder area as we move down into the arm itself. And as you lead down, you can see the muscle definition. We've got the elbow sculpted out back there, pretty nicely sculpted fingers as well. You can see the nails are painted with a black and also sculpted quite nicely. The wrists are correctly placed and everything, which is always nice to see on any Jurassic dinosaur, because most times you'll see like Jurassic dinosaurs with pronated wrists and stuff, and it always looks awkward. So it is always nice to see whenever they create a dinosaur that actually has its wrists correctly placed. That's definitely a plus, and obviously Lulu has captured that as well. And as we move up here into the side of the stomach, you can see more of that patterning. You can see more of the yellowish tones down here in the side, and as the light hits the dinosaur, you can really see again more really beautiful scale detail. We've got those quills I was speaking of here sticking out of the back of the dinosaur, more of the black coloration. As we continue to move along, again, it continues to stripe down here. You can see the hip bone as well. And then leading down into the thigh, we've got the muscle definition highlighted very nicely in both the thigh and calf. You can see the knee, and again, the very nice scale detail, more black kind of spotting down. The legs are uber creepy. I always felt like this dinosaur just had one of the creepiest designs out of any dinosaur in the Jurassic franchise. You can see the same for this one. As you continue to move down, you can see the dew claws are sculpted out and painted, and then we lead down into the foot sculpt. The foot sculpt also looks quite nice. We've got the Again, nail sculpted and painted really quite beautifully. They have genuine sharp looks to them and stuff, which is always a plus. And then we move back up here, and as we lead out into the tail, we continue to have that black patterning out. We've got a really nice curve to the tail as well as you lead out. It's not like a, super dramatic or unrealistic curve, and you can see there's a little writing on the underside again because this is a prototype, but you can see the red and yellow kind of taper off, and then we basically just have the gray for the remainder of the tail, and then the black overtakes the tail here at the tip, and you can see more of those small kind of quills and stuff out here on the end of the tail. You're going to see pretty much the same thing over here because for the most part, the dinosaur seems to have just stopped to kind of take a look around. The legs are slightly different as far as the positioning, but not overly different to the point where it would have a very different look on one side compared to the other. You can see again the tail is curved toward us and the head is turned away, and that's probably the biggest differences you're going to see from one side to the other. But man, is that ever a super cool looking version of this Troodon, and I am so psyched to have a really good high quality model of this dinosaur. Another thing that is good about this Troodon is you can see the balance is really nice, and it has almost like a slight crouching look to it, making it look even creepier, I think, because it has a very suspicious sort of pose, like it's up to something, which is exactly what I would expect for these dinosaurs. But as far as a size goes, for a length from the snout to the tail, right around 8 inches or about 20 centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point would be the tip of the tail, about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Troodon. And you can see the Troodon is a bit on the smaller side. I would say overall it's definitely one of the smallest, if not the smallest, Lulu's Customs and Classics figure that I have had the pleasure of reviewing and adding to my collection so far. And obviously, again, you can see that it's pretty much a very nice, very good size for a Troodon figure. So I'm actually quite the fan of the overall size of this one. And then for another comparison, we also have a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus. I don't feel like we really need to do too many more comparisons past this point. I feel like this comparison is probably the best I can give you. Also, there aren't really all that many Troodon figures out on the market, so I don't really have that many to compare with it. And most people that would be interested in this figure would also be Jurassic fans, so I feel like these figures here next to it are probably the best I can give you. Obviously, way better proportions on the Troodon, but you can see it's very similar in size to both of these figures. So all of a sudden the lights are dimmed, and you're probably questioning me as to why. Well, that's because Lulu is an absolute genius and has come up with a very cool gimmick for this figure. So if we turn the lights off and I bring it back in, wow, that looks super bright. Look at how crazy creepy that is. The eyes actually glow. They are glow-in-the-dark eyes, and man, do they ever look absolutely as sick as it gets. They really, really glow, which is crazy, crazy impressive, but making the dinosaur even creepier now, again, with the glowing eyes. That is just absolutely awesome. Pure brilliance on the part of Lulu, and again, the glowing eyes are honestly just the icing on the cake here. So this Lulu's Customs and Classics Jurassic Park Telltale game version of the Troodon is awesome. Cannot stress enough how much I love this figure. And again, I'm just a really big fan of the overall look and design of that original version of the Troodon, and I've always really enjoyed it. And up until this point, the only one that I've ever had as far as a figure goes was a hatchling version, so it's so cool to now have this version which actually replicates the Troodon from the game. Again, it's like the actual adult Troodon, and it looks phenomenal here. He has really sculpted this one out perfectly, in my opinion. I think he's captured everything about this dinosaur that you would want to see, and also given it just a, on top of the creepy look that the dinosaur already has, kind of a creepy pose with the slight crouching look to it. I could just imagine a few of these kind of creeping up on you and, taking somebody down in the dead of the night. It just, again, has that very eerie kind of pose to it. So I think the pose was really nicely done. The fine detail also looks quite nice. There's a lot of really nice scale detail, muscle definition, pretty much everything and anything you would want to see on your model through the course of the figure. And he's painted it out really nicely, again, to also replicate the Troodons from that game. He's given it all of the coloration that you would want to see, again, very nicely applying it to the figure. It all looks nice and natural, if you ask me. And the, like I said, light up eyes are just like the absolute icing on the cake for this. Well, not really light up eyes, but glow in the dark eyes. I guess I technically also have the Mattel version of the Troodon, and although it's colored similarly, it's not really based on this version. So this is my first real good model of this specific version of a Troodon. But overall, it is absolutely awesome, and again, a massive recommendation from me. If you are interested in picking one of these up, I will include the information here in the description to, of course, contact Lulu and his eBay store, where you can follow him there again and acquire any of his figures when they are up for sale. Again, this one's not officially available quite yet, but you could always contact him and inquire about when it will become available and let him know that you would like to grab one. So make sure you do all of that, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.